OMG right there. 4-0 in Dragons. The only hiccup was the Baron being stolen, but arguably it was going to go in their favor if it wasn't stolen. So they had control of the entire map almost from level 2 when they got the first Dragon up until the end of the game.
Yeah, they lost a Baron and then pushed an inhibitor with it.
Yeah.
Without it. I'm sorry. So pushing into a team of Baroned up minions, everything was going in favor of OMG. When you have a 10,000 gold lead at 18 minutes, generally you're feeling pretty good about the situation. But we'll see what Vici can do in order to try and really turn this one around, because we mentioned the fact that, you know, Uzi's most played champion was Sivir. He had the most success on that champion. Maybe getting rid of that is what they need to do. Maybe it isn't in getting rid of this Kalista that is really going to be able to target them. We'll see how it goes.
I wouldn't be surprised, and as we can see the Kalista ban coming out straight away, they know it's a big threat, and you do not want Uzi on that, regardless of...
I just really want to see it. I was like, just ban the Sivir, guys. Leave everything else up. We'll be fine.
Deep down, just want that Kalista.
Yeah, I just want to see it.
Unfortunately, not going to see that, as it is banned, and that leaves open, at the moment anyway, the options of the Lucian and the Sivir still, as they do opt to ban away that Alistar instead.
Yeah, Vici going to take away Amazing's Alistar, who was instrumental in so many of those fights. The headbutt pulverize combos were definitely on point for that player. And of course, coming out so strong in his first game of the LPL, but Gragas going to be taken off the board here as well. Juju not going to allow Dandy to first pick that one away. And Carry now to make the last decision here for Vici. They do have an opportunity to bounce back, and this is a team that was looking brilliant at the end of the season. Of course, easily top 4 behind potentially the likes of EDG, LGD, and Invictus Gaming, and they of course finished 4th, so it certainly does prove that point. Hecarim is going to be the final ban here away from Jiang. Carry not actually opting to pick that one up. Of course, it was banned away from OMG in the previous game, but of course, this time Vici not wanting to see it at all and not wanting to give it to Carry.
Yeah, having the first pick available, they are opting to ban the Hecarim, and you can see all of the jungle bans right now coming out from OMG as we look to see what they do for their last ban. Maybe the first pick priority, as the Gnar is banned, will go towards the jungle. Maybe even just the Maokai, because Gnar is banned.
Yeah, Gnar Hecarim off the board, so they just pick up the Maokai knowing that, I mean, that's the last top tier pick that they can go for. Of course, I mean, there are a whole lot of different options that you can pick, but OMG, they're just going to leave the top lane and just pick up exactly what gave them the victory last time. Incredible wave clear in this duo, and Cool and Uzi just looked so comfortable on both of these champions.
Yeah, exactly. They looked very comfortable, as we do see them hovered. At least the Azir locked in, and he was doing so much work on that Azir. The Thresh is the support response instead, and they're going to take that away from Marta.
Yeah, so Thresh not going to be available. Of course, we'll see what Amazing can do with another playmaking support in his hands. Of course, a lot of flashy plays available from a Thresh, and Endless now looking to pick away another Uzi champion, this time in the form of Sivir.
Yeah, a lot of respect for Uzi at the moment. You can see the AD carries have been banned a lot in Game 1 and now picked away, as the Lucian was available. No hesitation.
Yeah.
Takes that one.
Yeah, and of course, this would be the game that you'd want to pick Vayne. Of course, Vayne has a decent matchup into Lucian. You can, of course, tumble out of the way of the Piercing Light and avoid a fair bit of that damage, but not going to be happening this time, as Sivir is not going to be in a different lane. Of course, this is the LPL, so crazier things have happened, but I have a feeling that Sivir is most definitely going into the hands of Endless. And Cool now thinking about what he wants to grab, whether they want to save the top lane for the last pick or whether they want to opt for the jungle. And Juju actually going to take away the Nidalee.
Yeah, Nidalee banned in Game 1, instead being picked here. In response, from the looks of it, it's going to be, well, it could be a mid, but there is the Azir, and as you said, weird things have happened in the LPL, so it's going to be the jungle Nidalee into the Sejuani, and Sejuani not a high-pressure jungler, Nidalee able to either freely farm the jungle or able to invade and be a pest in the opposition jungle.
Yeah.
So it's quite comfortable in picking that and getting through the early stages.
Yeah, the very, very standard Shurima mid lane to come through yet again. So we've seen this a lot here in the LPL. And, you know, Xerath generally does okay. I mean, you just sit back and kill every minion wave.
That is essentially what the lane is going to be. Xerath just wants to sit back and kill minion waves. He doesn't want to take any damage, but he wants to dish out as much as possible, where possible. Has that passive to sustain his mana in the lane and can just stay there for as long as possible. Azir needs to be a little bit closer to the minions to hit them, but does have the Sand Soldier, so it is a very similar, I want to farm, I don't really want to kill you style lane.
Yeah. And Jiang actually going to opt for the Lulu here in the top lane. So, of course, utilizing the fact that he was formerly a mid laner and a support player, able to use both of those skill sets in taking Lulu to the top lane.
And you are, in fact, able to play Lulu still in all three of those roles.
Yeah,
so
and in the jungle, of course, if you've seen the champion spotlight, ladies and gentlemen.
Can't say I have.
Haven't seen AD carry Lulu in quite some time. So not exactly entirely omnipresent on this map, but Lulu definitely a versatile champion and able to go against carries Maokai. And we'll see how he does go as we go through the lineups here. Dandy into Juju yet again here, but this time Sejuani into the Nidalee. We've seen Nidalee not be too impressive thus far. Of course, Snake not quite managing to find the success with that one. And a very old matchup here in the Xerath versus Azir. And Cool's Azir in the last game was a force to behold, as Endless now going to pick up the Sivir into Uzi's very, very comfortable Lucian.
He has the best picture in all of these. Uzi
Oh, yeah.
looks so angry. And
So
having
mad.
that Lucian as well is going to represent that perfectly, able to relentlessly pursue around the map and do whatever he wants and
Oh, yeah.
dash everywhere and just be so aggressive, and it complements him perfectly.
Yeah, and they got the Wife Steal bottom lane as well. Of course, Thresh Lucian has been sort of a very, very standard lane throughout a whole lot of different scenes for a very, very long time. So going to be able to put on the pressure where they can. And we'll see exactly what happens. Do you think that either of these teams are going to be opting for lane swaps here? Do you think that OMG wants to keep Uzi on an island by himself? Or are they going to aggressively look for this 2v2? Because, of course, Nautilus Sivir, if they manage to land all their spells early on, that's a scary lane.
Yeah, definitely. They've got a very strong level 1 and 2 laning phase between the Nautilus and Sivir, but you're not necessarily uncomfortable here on the Lucian either. You can lane. It's not going to be too bad, and you will be okay. But if you want to lane swap, they want to get Uzi farming, and we saw such smart rotations from them in the early game stages here on OMG. They may want to do the lane swap again and force the uneven matchups and force more early rotations where they did just so well.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, on maybe hope for Carry to teleport sort of blindly into the bottom lane yet again. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get onto the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Vici Gaming taking on OMG for our final game of the evening. Jiang actually going to be teleporting away from his turret this time, as he does not want to repeat of what happened to Vici in the previous matchup. OMG not really sure where anyone is, but you can see the deep vision has already gone down for both sides. They're searching for these lane swaps, seeing exactly what's happened. As Vici starting some backs, ending them. As Juju has got a lot of traps.
Yeah, he's going to be able to do the blue buff quite easily with all of these traps. The amount of damage starting to scale as the blue buff walks closer to you. And a very aggressive decisions here from Vici Gaming. They do want the lane swap from the looks of it, but it has been predicted, as we can see. Lucian and Thresh both going up there into the top lane and might have caught Sivir in a very bad spot.
Yeah, actually, Sivir was trying to freeze this one out, but you can see Amazing and Uzi able to close this gap. There's the flash into the play here as well. Endless getting taken down to about 200 health. Uzi going to get stunned up as Marta makes his presence known. But Endless has to back away, and they're going to take a long time to get to either the bottom lane or the top lane, depending on whether they want to keep this lane swap going.
Now, could have gone a lot worse for them. Endless does manage to live, doesn't blow a summoner, only using that pot and having to recall. Going to put them bot lane. They're going to opt to keep the Maokai in the top, so it has worked out okay in the end. Dandy's going to be able to put some pressure in top lane if need be, and they're just going to try and reset. The big difference, experience, is not going to be in favor of Vici Gaming.
Yeah, and of course, Jiang, as a top laner, really enjoying the fact that he manages to get some free time in a lane to kill all of these minions as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And even Maokai, he's just sitting pretty, not getting any pressure. He doesn't feel the threat of a 4v1 as we saw last game, or a 3v1 dive, and going to be able to do his thing quite comfortably, and that's where you want to be this time round.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And we'll see whether he does get shoved in, whether they're going to go for another dive as Jiang. Cute little Glitterlance there, able to stay at least in this lane for a little bit. Juju notices the fact that this red buff has not been taken. In fact, both of the buffs have now been consumed here. And Juju taking a little bit of time to get onto this red buff.
He's taking his time because he needs to assess where Sejuani may be. Sejuani, in fact, recalling after being a little bit more greedy with the jungle pathing and taking the wolves. Gonna lose the red buff because of this. And Nidalee is in a very good position now.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Although, of course, vertical jungling did come through, so OMG did lose their red buff very early, so Dandy did still manage to get one. But you're exactly right. I mean, still losing out on that when he may have had an opportunity to possibly answer that. And we know that Dandy, very, very good at controlling the jungle. Just not going to be doing it so aggressively this time around, as Endless might be in trouble here on the bottom side of Jiang. Very low on mana. He's gone low. The Ignite's down onto Endless now, though. Juju, he's getting caught by the tower, forced to flash and pounce out of here as Carry finds his way in. There's a twisted advance onto Amazing. Boomerang coming over as well. Not quite enough damage, as Amazing has a whole lot of tanky statistics. Juju sort of jumps into his death, and there's the stun. There's the Arcane Smash, and Carry locks himself down. Some more assists here on this map as, man, everything going on this game, but this time in favor of Vici.
Fantastic teleport, instant reaction once they saw the Nidalee. The summoners being saved by Sivir from that engage in the top is the saving grace right there, able to use the flash and heal to stay alive. The rest of the side of Vici are just so tank compared with that of the Nidalee, who isn't tank at all really this early in the game and only really good for the offensive stats that she can provide, and they just go down and they crumble.
Yeah, and well, there's not a whole lot that Juju could do either. Just picked up the red buff, was half health, and sort of pounced into that fight, into turret range, when he really didn't need to. So OMG not really finding what they wanted at that stage, and this is what happens when Uzi's nowhere near being able to impact anything. As Hetong goes down quite low here in the mid, and again, the mid lane, sort of just a farm lane at this stage. Yeah,
and speaking of farm lanes, it's the exact same thing in the top lane. The only exception is that they have completely zoned Carry in the top, and he's going to finally be able to get something about him. He's got 2 assists, so he might be able to buy a little bit more with his items, opting for wards opposed to any effective battle statistics, and he's going to just look to survive in the laning phase. But this Lucian is about 14 CS ahead, even though Sivir has the kill, so they're fairly even still.
Yeah, most definitely even. Juju hanging out towards this top side, wanting to try and get Uzi a little bit of help. In fact, Amazing coming around as well. Carry just thinking, okay, we can't really see anyone on the map. I'm leaving this lane.
Yeah, smart, and might even be able to spot that ward right there as we are looking at Dandy.
Yeah, I love Dandy too, don't worry. Juju going to pounce over this wall. It's going to get spotted by a ward, but he's going to be able to clear that one out with the Oracle buff from the cute little Raptors. Smart is not going to find the dredge line here. Endless looking to try and put some pressure on. Nice slow there from the Riptide. Boomerang forced to use the flash to get out of here with Jiang. And Vici saying, yes, now you have to leave this lane, Lulu.
Yeah, Lulu in a very bad position at the moment. Sivir doing a lot of work, opting for the pickaxe this early in the game to get that instant spike and accelerate the laning phase even, and just try and be able to bully as Carry goes in on Uzi.
Yeah, very aggressive play there with the twisted advance, able to answer back with a fair bit of damage here as well. Double Doran's ring, going to give him some early power.
Yeah, nothing really to come from it. It's mostly just harass and poke, trying to push Lucian out of lane. Didn't even realize Thresh was there, so he just comes straight out of the bush and says, no thank you, leave my AD Carry alone.
Yeah, cool. Does take an Arcano Pulse there, but some auto attacks from some Sand Soldiers going to make sure Hetong doesn't stay around too long within range of this Azir. But still staying very relevant as far as this farm is concerned. It's a bit of a farm lane here, of course. Not going to have too much excitement there in the mid, as Marta's just going to hang around while Dandy takes down this Gromp, and Juju just getting zoned away from his entire jungle. And this Nidalee really has not had any impact at all.
Yeah, Vici doing their best OMG impression from the last game and trying to be a pest, rotate as a group and get in the jungle. Utilize that Sivir, which is doing so much again. Starts to feel like the exact same thing reversed on last game, and really get some advantages as Uzi and Carry are butting heads.
Yeah, that was actually the culling being used here, as Uzi does have to relentlessly pursue away. There's the flash into the Arcane Smash. The ultimate to come through from Carry, but Uzi's now realized that Carry doesn't have a whole lot of mana left over. Hetong might be in trouble. Dandy, there's the ultimate. Juju just getting destroyed. There's the ult, but Dandy locks down the kill. Cool. Now going to head back under the turret. Nice wild growth for the double knock up there as the Glitterlant's going to come through as well. Amazing. Does find the death sentence, but you don't want to go anywhere near that team again. He's on 200 health.
He's also level 3. Across the board right now, things going so well for Vici. They're just controlling, had vision of those two. Sejuani hitting the amazing ultimate. Xerath able to do free damage and absolutely decimating. This Nidalee is not getting a chance to get into this game. She is struggling so much, and it's very difficult. The position that she is in right now needs to find something, needs to find a way to get into this game, get some kills, get some dragons, maybe even a tower, just anything to really start to get her going.
Yeah, find some global gold from somewhere. Try and piggyback onto a powerful member of this team. Maybe head towards the top lane. Did try and look for that, but of course Carry able to put on a lot of pressure up there. Now only 20 CS behind Jiang here, but does have those 2 assists like you mentioned. So able to pick up a Sapphire Crystal now, going towards that Catalyst as quickly as possible. Patong now with the blue buff is able to clear out this wave, and saw the fact that OMG, I mean, they lost out on the blue, which is just massive for Cool, because he's not going to be able to do anything here in this lane, as there's going to be so many spells just pouring out of Patong.
Yeah, we're most likely going to see the mid laners do exactly as they did last game and just look to get that first big item before they start to impact the rest of the map. And is going to be okay without the blue buff, but he is going to be taking a lot of damage, or at least potentially a lot of damage from this Xerath. So the CS difference, or the CS lead that is currently in favor of in favor of Cool, might start to go the opposite direction.
Yeah, and we'll see whether Cool is going to be able to head back and pick up that Morellonomicon as his next item. Able to throw out Sand Soldiers and get enough work done thus far, but Patong now clawing his way back as far as this one is concerned. Dandy finds himself a pink ward that he's going to clear away immediately.
Yeah, getting rid of that vision in that area is very important, because as a Sejuani hitting level 7, Dragon's almost up. You need to have almost complete confidence in when you're going to use your ultimate around the Dragon if they look to contest. This case, though, they want nothing to do with this Dragon, and it's going to go down to Vici. Yeah,
Vici easily able to pick that one up. That is going to be first Dragon of the game, as Endless is able to lock down the last hit on that one. Cool. Look at the items that he's managed to pick up. Forbidden Idol and a Fiendish Codex. Nailed it.
You just wanted to say Forbidden Idol.
I certainly did.
Yeah.
That's just making sure it's in the memory banks as Dragon fell down. Nice pickup of that cannon creep there as well from Endless, as Uzi trying to get something going on. He's massively ahead as far as this farm is concerned. That's 30 CS in the lead as Ardent Blaze is going to get thrown out. Beautiful dredge line though from Marta. Does manage to lock Uzi down. As Amazing does throw out the Dark Passage, but of course Relentless Pursuit was already used, so Uzi was fine.
They're actually quite even in this bot lane. Given the CS difference, he has opted towards the boots first Lucian. I guess it's more battle stats for getting in close as possible, as quick as possible. The battle statistics going for the boots first, not for the damage, and he's going to look to outplay. And the CS difference, while it's big, there is still a kill and an assist in favor of the Sivir, and they have finally opted to reset these lanes so they are in the 2v2, and it's going to be very difficult for Uzi to find a way back into this when the Nautilus is having such a big presence and enabling all of this Sivir damage to come out for free.
Yeah, but, I mean, after all's said and done, this is 3 kills to 0. Turret to nothing, so that's not going to affect the gold. But, I mean, 400 gold in the lead is Vici. That's barely anything here. And OMG have done some fantastic work damage controlling what was a difficult early stage of the game.
Yeah, definitely. They've all been very far ahead in CS, and it's only just starting to reach back to even now. And only 3 kills. It's not going to be a massive amount of gold. Only 1 dragon as well, so there's no real... At this stage of the game, it's only 12 minutes. The game's only young. There's not a lot of opportunities to close out any games. But speaking of opportunities...
Oh, beautiful polymorph, but the ultimate to come through here at the same time. Dandy does find the ultimate to Jiang, and he's most definitely... Oh, almost manages to pick up a kill for himself here, actually, as the wild growth was enough to save his life. Juju trying to find something, but no one going to fall just yet. There's the dredge line, but the pounce enough to get Juju out of there. The spear doesn't find anyone either, and everyone just walk away. No one's dying just yet.
That was an amazing W by Lulu there, stopping the Sejuani engage, completely denying it, and managing to live for so long right there. The rest of the team rotating and preventing any further dives. But, of course, 2 tanks having none of their spells available. Very, very well done from the Lulu to survive as long as she did and, in fact, live completely. Nidalee's pounce interaction with the Nautilus hook as well was quite interesting, managing to stay out of range completely.
Yeah, actually amazing. Looking to try and find the Flay there as Carrie's going to teleport in. The box comes down as well. Nice Dark Passage, but Carrie still manages to find Uzi here as well. The exhaust to go down. He tries to get some extra damage on, but Uzi's getting very, very low. Carrie now has to deal with Cool here as well, as Juju just going to get eliminated on the back line. The top lane going to fall down as well as Carry meets his maker. And they trade 1 for 1, and everyone backs away. But this game, so much closer than last game, and we'll see exactly who's going to come out on top, because last time around it was most definitely everything going in favor of OMG, and we'll see how this new lineup copes with having things a little bit more even. Glitterland's going to find Marta there. Dark Passage to get cool in amongst it as the Polymorph comes through. There's the Empress Divide, and Marta's going to fall down, but he takes Amazing with him. Xiang very, very low, but Uzi picks up the kill in the end.
And that was a play of patience right there. There's the pink ward in that bush you can see, and Lulu waited, bided her time until the rest of the side here of Vici thought they were safe to continue farming. Caught them completely out of position. The rest of the team rotated at the same time and slowed them and denied them enough just to get the rest of the team there. We saw the amazing Emperor's Divide coming out and denying anything, any escape routes possible. Securing a kill there, securing 2 kills in fact. And now they're starting to get that ball rolling.
Yeah, they most certainly are. Uzi now has a 46-6 CS advantage over Endless, and also now has the same score, apart from the 1 death. But of course, is going to have the same amount of money now, so this Lucian really scaling forward in this game. The only thing that seems to be a real problem here for OMG is this Nidalee, sitting 0-3-0, unable to really get anything done at all.
Yeah, I was about to address that fact as well. The Nidalee 0-3-0 has got farm, but it's not going to be enough to have a really big impact. The big issue is the fact that Nidalee's health bar is around 1400 health, which is absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And you compare that to the rest of the tanks that are playing in the jungle. The Sejuani just seems to be doing so much more. All it really feels like the Nidalee is doing is dying. And it's her job to die as slowly as possible, but really needs to start having an impact.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess when the fights actually break out, there's not a lot that Nidalee needs to do, but you really need to have those spears be relevant, you know, like before a fight, so you can get the poke down, so that you can do your job in these fights. But if this Nidalee can just be picked off and made irrelevant, not going to be doing a whole lot for the team, and it just makes everything a 4v5. Carry playing this Maokai out beautifully as Xiang unable to really do too much to the big tree. Catalyst now complete as well. Does have a level advantage.
Both top laners quite starved in terms of money. They're not getting a whole lot. Lulu is 100 CS, about 40 ahead, so going to be able to get those big items sooner. Maokai sitting only on the Catalyst. Not really near anything big just yet.
No, not quite there. 42 CS in the lead, though, is Uzi. And that is the big story this game. Of course, Hetong has managed to forge himself a little bit of an advantage, now with the Sorcerer's Shoes as well on top of that. But cool. He's going to dodge out of the way of every single one of those ultimate shots.
Fancy feat right there from Cool, able to avoid a lot of damage, able to stay in lane even though the tower is taken down. They're going to rotate from the tower to the dragon, but OMG are fully prepared for this one. They do not want them taking this dragon for free. In fact, they've pushed them completely out of the dragon pit area, and they have started it themselves.
Yeah, Juju actually going to launch himself on top of this dragon here as well. They've got it down to half health already, but it heads back into the pick. Dandy finds the ultimate onto Amazing and Xiang here as well as Cool. He's going super aggressive with the Emperor's Divide. Endless gets taken down now as well as Cool, trying to control the battlefield. Xiang somehow still alive as Hetong has to deal with these Sand Soldiers. But look at that Arcano Pulse damage. Carry finally finds his way in amongst it, and Cool is going to be able to escape. But that is a 2 for 2 in the end. But Vici now with control of this dragon.
He wants the dragon. He really wants to steal this dragon. See, Juju is around. They've got Cool and they've got Zhuyang readily available to stop this from happening. And in fact, they're going to go in. They're going to take the dragon away.
Oh my goodness. That was so incredibly close. Got taken down to about 100 health. But the dragon was secured here by Juju. So evening out the dragons. And this game is on a knife edge. 400 gold still. And it's now in favor of OMG. Yeah, the balance of this game could tip in any direction with the next coming fights and decisions that they make. That fight right there was going extremely well for Vici Gaming. The Sejuani ult initiating perfectly. Xerath sitting on the backside, getting free hits from the entirety of that fight up until the end. And we're going to have a look at the replay of this. So this Sejuani, the same time as the Nautilus hitting Cool. Everyone's stuck. The big issue is that there was not enough damage on a single person to take them down straight away. And Cool's aggression, Uzi's aggression in positioning, has enabled them to make a trade. And they now managed to get these trades. Uzi, I think, goes down in the end here to the Xerath damage, and very unlucky to not get the Nidalee there. They managed to stay alive as 3.
they manage to have enough numbers to push them away from the Dragon, and it works out quite well for them.
Yeah, now Carry going to get punished for surviving in the last fight. Uzi picks up that kill. It is going to be OMG starting to try and run away with it, but they had to overextend a long way to pick that one up, and they need to start picking up towers as well, because it's now 0-2 in favor of Vici Gaming here as far as those structures are concerned, and OMG really needs to start taking a few. Of course, the first 2 turrets to be taken in this entire series here for Vici Gaming.
That's exactly right, and that's 2 better than what they had last game. They're starting to look quite good right now. The score is very even in gold, and that's the big talking point right now, is it is dead even, and the next fights are going to be massive. Only 19 minutes into this game, of course. The game is still young, and there's a lot to go here. And judging from the way that these 2 teams are playing, it'll most likely be around the next Dragon.
Yeah, you can see, yeah, well, that's exactly right. Of course, OMG, they haven't taken down the mid lane outer turret here as well. Vici Gaming have actually drawn first blood on that front. So OMG often feel a little bit restless until they take that one down. We'll see how that one goes and whether that one's going to be taken relatively soon. Uzi deciding to sit on the components for both the Static Shiv and the Infinity Edge already. Sort of just wants to go back and pick up the most effective items that he can whenever he's back at base. We'll see whether he's going to pick up that Infinity Edge first or the Static Shiv, as Dandy's going to be able to take down his Krugs here at the same time, trying to get himself a little bit of money back here as well, as unfortunately the client is not going to survive.
Yeah, unfortunately, getting the bug splat. But I really like the team comp and the changes that Vici Gaming have made here coming into this second game. In the first game, the big issue seemed to be that they didn't have enough wave clear, and while things weren't going too well for them,
yeah,
they didn't have an answer to it because they were being pushed in so heavily. The siege was so strong from OMG, and they didn't have that answer. Now, because they have the answer, because they've got the wave clear from the Sivir and the Xerath, if they're ahead or behind, they're still going to be in this game. And you can see it's a lot closer now because the CS values are still going strong for them. And anywhere that they try to push, they're able to deny the push, at the very least get the minions. And they're staying closer in this game, which is so good for them.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And one thing I want to mention now as well is the fact that Hetong, he's gone back to this Xerath that we sort of saw a whole lot at the beginning of the split last year. Why did he sort of fall out of favor come the sort of Cinderhulk patches?
Xerath is very easily catchable. He doesn't have any mobility, and he's very easily caught out of position. So having the Cinderhulk patches enabling a lot of tanks coming out,
yep,
very easy for the tanks. Sejuani, for the example, having the ultimate that just locks everything down.
Yep.
CC for days coming out. The Nautilus coming into favor. All of the tank supports. Everything just has a lot of tankiness, a lot of crowd control. And while Xerath still does damage, and while he still scales well into the late game, the fact that you can catch him out of position so easily, especially when you force objectives such as the Dragon, he needs to wedge himself into a smaller area, and you can catch him. It's not as strong, and you can't kill people as quickly. And we've started to see a lot of shift into more of the hyper carry with mobility champions in the mid lane.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether Hetong can make this one work as we move forward into this game, because, of course, you know, having the likes of Xerath back into this meta opens a few doors here for a lot of these teams, because there are a lot of Xerath players on a whole lot of these teams here in the LPL. So we'll see if anyone else decides to fall back into their previous ways as we move forward, because of course Azir seeing a resurgence means that you have to think that sort of the classic pick into Azir is going to find his way into the meta again.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said, there's a lot of Xerath being phased out. There is now a lot of people experimenting with the meta shift, and Xerath's starting to come back into fruition again. He's starting to find his popularity again, and he does still do a lot of damage. The fact that he is such a long-range hyper carry allows him that people have started to pick cleanse on mid lane, and once that started to happen, a lot more mid laners started to get played again. Xerath's the perfect example of this.
Yeah, well, of course, you can really punish that one. And look, we'll see how it goes moving into the later stages, because right now it's been just farm, farm, farm. Let's get that one sorted out. But we are going to have the pause over, ladies and gentlemen, back into this game. Carry's going to be farming out this bottom side, and OMG going to be doing what they can to try and get towards a turret.
Yeah, they're going to have to do their best. They have got a turret now. It's 1 to 3 in turrets. They just need to start getting some more. Of course, the more turrets you have, the less that are available. So OMG in a position, if they can get some more turrets to close that gold difference, or to even stretch the gold difference in their favor. The fact that 3 turrets are down to 1 and that the gold lead is dead even is a bad sign for Vici Gaming, because there are the turrets available if you are OMG, and that'll stretch the gold lead.
Yeah, sort of standing gold on the map available here for OMG. And of course, when it's out of turrets, especially here in the mid lane and the top lane, OMG is going to be able to just rotate around there, get the waves pushing in their favor and make things happen. But of course, with a Sivir, lots of wave clear there. Of course, when you say wave clear, you need to mention Xerath because he's probably the king in that regard. But now OMG, now they've, of course, got a Azir on the lineup as well. Cool picking that one up yet again. So not too worried about clearing out minion waves as well, especially considering Lulu being there.
Yeah, definitely. They've got the wave clear, they've got the damage, and they are going in here.
Yeah, Endless really looking for
That's
Jiang.
long.
The Whimsy definitely able to at least create some distance, but the exhaust, the wild growth not going to find anything as Endless able to use the spell shield, and Vici, they managed to get the pick that they're looking for, but OMG, they're going to be able to take down this outer turret in the mid lane. And in the end, the gold trade actually going in favor of OMG.
And this is what we've just touched upon. The fact that the turrets are there to be taken. They can get the rotation. Mid lane is the short lane. Very quickly rotate to that, push the turret down, and though there was a kill going in favor of Vici, and though they had the initiation perfectly, it felt a bit like deja vu of a previous game where the Nautilus Sivir coming straight in and able to blow someone up, and they love to do that with Nautilus. Though that worked in their favor, the turret's still going down, and the gold lead staying in favor now of OMG.
Yeah, cool. Able to clean out this side wave here as well. Carry wanting nothing to do with the Sandy Birdman. Zuzi going to continue to clear out some minion waves as well. He's finished off the Static Shiv and the Infinity Edge. Still sitting at a gigantic gold lead, but it's stayed a bit static here over the last few minutes, which is to the credit of Endless. He's picked himself up some kills as well. But Uzi's going to be a really big problem come the later stages of this game because we've seen how he weaves the abilities of a Lucian. He's just so good at this champion, and Lucian's late game damage is very, very frightening.
Oh yeah, especially in the hands of Uzi, who's mechanically just so gifted at this game. And 3-1-3 with the CS difference going in favor of him. A static shift to his Zeal and the makings of a Phantom Dance are almost there. Going for the Zeal shows that he wants the wave clear to match at the very least what is being presented here from Vici Gaming. And they have a lot of wave clear, so I don't blame him for trying to match that, especially if someone's trying to siege the opposition here. And that's actually something that I don't foresee happening very easily without a dive. Both teams have wave clear endlessly. And it's going to be very hard to utilize any sieging. They're going to have to look to either fight for objectives, as we have seen them do. The dragon is available, or dive when they siege.
Yeah. And this is a really interesting comp coming through from OMG as well, because it's very similar to one of these sort of raise the puppy comps that does get associated with Uzi so much. But you've got Primal Surge instead of the likes of Blood Boil here coming from the jungle. Oh, Spear goes for the steal as the teleports are going to come through from both sides. Jiang takes half of his health bar as soon as he comes through, but right at the Arcane, only going to find the last bolt onto some OMG members. Decent Dragon takeaway here from Vici Gaming, though. That is going to be their second of the game. And this game's still so incredibly close. But these teams really need to start working out what to do next. So what are the win conditions here for both sides? What is Vici trying to do, and what is OMG trying to do in order to win this game?
Well, it almost feels like at the moment they're both just trying to farm and catch someone out of position. You can see it's very slow. The rotations that they're all making are very methodical, and they just both don't feel like they can do anything at the moment. So what do you need to do? You can put the Lulu against the Maokai. Nobody's going to die, and you can utilize the fact that neither of you have teleports. You're going to know it's a 4v4, and you're going to be able to at least maybe force it by pushing the wave, or you can get a 4v4 and it can go in favor of you. If you have a 5v5 with the Maokai there, it's a lot harder for you to win a team fight here on OMG. They've got the Maokai and the Sejuani and the Nautilus, then it's going to be in the front. If you take that away, at the very least, it's going to be a 4v4. You can use the Nidalee to poke them down, and though you can't siege directly because of the wave clear that's being presented here from Vici, if you can get someone low enough, you can dive.
Yeah, and looks like Juju actually decides to pick up an Abyssal Scepter as well as Cool. Of course, they don't stack, but they're going to be able to cover a wider area with that Magic Resist debuff. Of course, Dandy not quite completing a Locket of the Iron Solari just yet, which is very interesting considering the fact that there is some severe triple AP coming through from OMG. But he's opting to go for that Banshee's Veil instead.
Yeah. I guess they want to have the Locket go onto the Nautilus, who has finished the face of the mountain now. is able to go for that if he chooses, and they do want the Banshee's Veil to go down onto the Sejuani first as a priority.
Oh, Dandy steals away another red buff here as well. Uzi trying to find something onto this one, but there's Rite of the Arcane. Uzi going to fall down as Carry picks that one up. Juju now forced to flash and pounce his way out of here. Does survive as the spear comes through as well. Cool, able to get a whole lot of DPS out with those Sand Soldiers, but Vici, they picked up what they wanted, and they picked a red buff as well.
Completely caught out of position. It just goes to show the strength of the Xerath right there. Just sit in the mid lane, use your ultimate, and then you've got the Sejuani to lock them down, and they're going to try and siege here, but as mentioned, it's going to be very difficult for them to do that, especially with the Sejuani, Xerath, Sivir ultimates not available, and the fact that the wave clear is just so evident.
Yeah, well, exactly. Xiang and Cool just together with so much. Dandy, very, very good at taking buffs, even when he doesn't want to. He's able to take away that blue buff from Hitong.
He's got the blue buff for himself. Selfish, but unintentional, so Hitong still able to wave clear quite efficiently, has the passive to get some mana back if need be, and he's going to be comfortable, but you definitely wanted the blue buff onto the Xerath. It kind of ruins a lot of their potential of sieging as well. They're not going to be able to sustain for very long. And the same goes for having the Nidalee. It's going to be very awkward watching the Nidalee run out of mana if she throws a lot of spears out. And then you've got to get the blue buff onto the Azir, but neither of them have it now because they've stolen it. The game's going to remain at least quite stagnant for the moment. Nothing really happening across the board besides small engages.
Yeah, sort of waiting for things to happen here. You got a little bit of vision around that Baron Hitong. He's looking to try and find a blue buff, and he does manage to get one. So there it is. Both blue buffs now consumed by the Vici Gaming lineup. As Spear's going to land onto Carry here, but able to tank up a lot of this damage, flashing out of the way of the culling, which does end up finding him yet again. But OMG creating some pressure here on the top side of the map. That outer turret has lasted a very long time as Carry, the super tanky man that he is, able to stay around this lane and sort things out. But you can see the fact that Vici, they're going to sack this top outer turret in favor of picking up the inner here on this bottom side of the map if they can. Endless and Marta are hanging around. Nice spell shield just to preempt anything that would have been coming through from Xiang.
Yeah, they had to put 3 in the top lane to ensure that the tower does go down. Azir very good at stalling. He's going to place his own turret. It does give 100 gold, though. It's going to go there to the Xerath, and they're going to get a turret and I guess a pseudo turret. I'm not sure what to call that one, but
semi-turret.
A semi-turret. The kill threat is still there in the mid lane because 3 have rotated top. You had OMG, you had amazing Juju and Uzi there. And that means the Sejuani and the Xerath sitting in the mid lane. Azir had to respect that, had to place down the turret of his own to at least try and stop them, but they still get the bot turret in response, and a very smart spread rotational play there.
Yeah, Danny actually might be caught out. Emperor's Divide gets him over the wall. Uzi does have the shield available as well as Dandy's going on a wild goose chase here. Decides to tank up some turret shots. Marta just playing defense here as the Sand Soldiers chasing after the piggy, but Dandy's going to be fine. That was very clever.
That's a very questionable Emperor's Divide there from the Azir. Not only knocking him over the wall, knocking him right next to the Raptor camp where he can just dash away.
Yeah.
Had the flash available and he walks out.
Yeah. I guess, you know, trades Emperor's Divide for a flash, so in the end, still a better trade for OMG, but that's about all they can hang their hat on. As OMG might be able to utilize some back timing here to try and get some pressure on this Baron. You can see that they already have the Rift Scuttler.
It feels to me like they want to do it from the other side of the wall or bait it, and they've opted to at least start the recalls. I would have loved to have seen the Thresh tanking for the Azir Sand Soldiers over the wall.
That would have been very amusing.
Would have been fantastic, but instead, going to recall. They're going to have almost complete control of the Baron area, only the one ward
there. They can get everyone over the wall from the back side of the pit, though.
Except for the Lulu, I think.
No, you get just use a Dark Passage.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy peasy.
That's a real possibility, in fact. They have got entire control of that area where they were standing as 5. They could have done it. They just opted not to.
Yeah, OMG actually going to head back towards this Baron here as well. They know that Vici's going to be taking down the Dragon. Of course, this is the movement speed buff, so their rotational ability over towards that Dragon going to be better, but OMG just caught in transition here a little bit. They didn't opt to go for the sort of decisive play on the Baron, and it means that Vici just gets a free Dragon.
Yeah, it feels like it was a lack of decision-making right there from the side of OMG. Not really sure what to do in the situation. And after the first game, it comes as a big surprise to see them make a mistake like that.
Although I guess they sort of had the first game from very early on. Cool takes a whole bunch of his health bar as Marta looks for the Q, but doesn't find it here as Cool just uses his E to get himself away.
Azir opting towards the Abyssal Scepter is something that I have to question. I know it's to get rid of a lot of the damage that the Maokai, Sejuani, and the Xerath can provide, and they do have a lot of magic damage just from their natural kit. Like the tanks do mostly magic damage, but you could have opted for a more damage-oriented build. Maybe even left it at the Negatron Cloak because you've got the Abyssal Scepter from the Nidalee. Yeah, you don't really need 2 Abyssal Scepters. Get some MR, sure. Why not go for the Athenes instead, perhaps, and keep some small amounts of MR? At least you have some. And then you can go for some damage and be a real big threat as he...
Oh,
wow.
Cool. Looking for the big play, but doesn't find it there at all. Just gets them away from the turret. And if that's what he was looking to do, then perfectly done. He did use the flash to get away, but man, that was interesting. Did he use the Emperor's Divide in the wrong direction, do you think?
He may have used it in the wrong direction. He could have put them towards the turret.
Yeah.
I feel like it... Either way, it would have been a really interesting position to be in. He was in a very awkward position, did use the flash straight away. So the response, knowing that the Emperor's Divide and the flash is down,
there's
Baron.
So much damage on this Baron here as well, as Endless able to rip this one apart. 2,000 health now as OMG unable to get any steals. And Vici Gaming pick up the first Baron of the game.
Yeah, so things are starting to go quite well in the favors of Vici Gaming. They've got 3 dragons to 1. They've got the Baron. They do have a small gold lead. It's nothing massive, and we saw this every single time there's been an attempt at a big play, there's been a response, and it's almost even matched across the board. The gold difference is not big, but the minions coming in as Baron minions is going to be very hard for Nidalee to wave clear. You're going to have to utilize that static Shiv on the Lucian and the Lulu having the death cap available. Those two have to be there to wave clear. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to stop the Vici push.
Yeah, well, precisely, and we'll see whether they can actually manage to do so. Is Uzi going to clear out this bottom side of the map? We've got Cool there in the mid lane clearing that one as well. So OMG do have tools in order to try and hold on to their base. But Vici Gaming picking up that Baron gives them a whole lot more opportunity to try and get their way into this one. And BF Sword now completed by Endless on top of the rest of his items. And this sort of single target high DPS build from Endless, you couldn't get much better than that, I don't think, as far as the first 3 items plus a component are concerned.
Yeah, he's looking to do as much damage as possible. He's got the last Whisper straight off the bat. Doesn't want that Bloodthirster just yet. Most likely going to be that with the 4th item. Opting straight away for that armor penetration and not for sustain. He's not worried about dying. In fact, he's quite comfortable with not dying because he's got the team in front of him.
Yeah.
And the Xerath's never going to be in a bad position, so he can rush straight damage as well. Both of the carriers of Vici Gaming all into that damage, and they're doing an abundance of it right now.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, and the fact that Dandy, he offers a fair bit of damage as well, you have to say, but he's just so tanky now with the Spirit Visage and, of course, the Frozen Heart as well, as the Cinderhulk just making it even better. Yeah, it was a very nice spear under her tongue there at the same time. But OMG, they just don't have that tankiness at all. Amazing is the closest thing to a tank that they have. As Dredgeline, I have no idea how that missed him.
I haven't got a clue how that missed. And I was about to say that they're not really pulling the trigger here, either team. But they managed to get a turret that would have been an initiation on Thresh, unfortunately missing. And they're going to use these Baron minions hitting the turret here.
Yeah, and I just don't understand how OMG are really going to be able to make this one work, because Juju has not been able to get any poke off whatsoever.
Yeah, it's going to be near impossible for the Nidalee at this stage to get poke off, especially with the big front line and Xerath being such a high range champion. You're not really going to hit many spears onto him. We have seen one connect, but I think that's for the most part the only spear that we've actually seen connect.
Yeah, we sort of saw one in that last situation, and he just hasn't been able to set himself up as sort of like a siege unit on this Nidalee. And right now, I mean, he can land a few onto carry who's going to be in the front line, but they need to be getting Endless and Hutong out of these fights.
And you can see the pressure is in favor of Vici right now. They do have control of the map up until the base area of OMG, but they're not really able to pull a trigger of sorts in any way, shape, or form. They haven't committed to an engage, because if they engage, they do have to dive. They have not fully overcommitted to anything just yet, and it's slowly whittling down the tower, but not really enough to speak of. If they can push them off right now, the Baron seems to have ended, and nothing really came of that push. They got one turret in the top lane.
Yeah, they got an inner turret in the top lane.
Seemingly it as well. Dragon is up in 30 seconds. It'll be the 4th dragon for Vici if they do get that one. That is a real win condition for them at the moment, and they would probably like the 5th Dragon buff to help them close this game out. And it's going to be a very slow, methodical game from here on out unless they can catch someone completely out of position.
And do you think it's a mistake that no one is going for a locket at all on the side of Vici, or do you think this is a strategical play?
I would have liked to have seen a locket on either the support or the jungler here from OMG and Vici even, to deny a lot of what Xerath is doing. And I said it's interesting to have the Abyssal Scepter on the side of OMG here for cool, but why not get the locket on the support instead? And then you have the magic resistance available.
Yeah.
And you don't have to build that pseudo damage tanky mid laner instead. You can opt to go for raw damage and just beast on them.
Yeah, you could pick up the Stinger potentially. Do
Yeah.
like seeing Stingers coming through. Of course, it's more of a Hatong Z item generally. He does like to pick up the Stinger on a Z, does Hatong. He's going to be endless backing away though, just manages to pick up a whole bunch of farm, might be finishing off that Bloodthirster now as well. As he did just manage to spend that money, Bloodthirster has been completed now as well. So that is in response to Uzi's Blade of the Ruined King, which he has completed as well.
Both AD carries are at 4 items at the moment. The makings of either a Banshee's Veil or a QSS coming out here for Uzi as well. And they're definitely not behind by any means. The side of OMG are fully capable and definitely able to win a team fight right now. The goal difference, it is 3,000, but it's not a massive deal because a lot of the damage is on the important carries. The only real exception there is the Nidalee opting for that Void Staff straight away, knowing that needs to accelerate this game and start doing some damage, start having a real presence on the map and make those spears count. Aside from that, the items, the money is where it needs to be. They just need to really make something happen. They need to find a position, catch someone out of position, and get the ideal fight in their favor.
Yeah, and the interesting thing as well about Abyssal Scepter Nidalee, I think that is an awful item on Nidalee.
Yeah.
Incredibly awful. Just because you do more damage based on how far you are away from someone, and Abyssal Scepter's range is not very high.
Well, it's counterintuitive of what Nidalee seems to do, but then keep in mind that Nidalee does have the Cougar form as they're engaging.
Yeah, they're trying to find something here. Azus is going to get knocked up, does use the flash in order to get away, but he's super dead as the Sun Turret trying to do some work here for Cool, but Xiang's going to fall down as well. Vici staying as a unit, able to clean this one up. Dandy picking up the final kill. Sun Turret going to fall, and Vici now with 4 dead on the side of OMG. And Juju's there sort of trying to throw a few spears here and there, but there's not a whole lot he can do. The inhibitor's going to fall down, and Vici, we'll see whether they can push forward for the victory. It is 30 seconds on the next member of OMG to be alive, and I'm not sure what the Nidalee can do. There are a few minions, the tanky members of Vici able to tank up these Nexus turrets. The final one about to fall down. The Nexus going to fall as well. Vici Gaming are going to be able to take down Game 2 against OMG as Juju flashes out of the fountain. But that's 1-1 for this series, and Vici fighting back in the second game.
Yeah, OMG finally coming out of their base for the first time in what felt like forever. Eventually making it out, poking their head out and getting caught completely. The game being run over from there on out. Nidalee did the best she could to try and deny the game from ending, but they just completely overwhelmed the base, and what felt like a small lead and what was entirely possible for a comeback in that game just thrown out the window, and a convincing ending to the game from Vici.
Yeah, and Juju's just did not look very impressive on that Nidalee at all. I just don't think that the pick really fit in that comp. They needed some sort of initiation tool, some sort of tank there, and Cool was sort of taking it upon himself to try and Azir his way into starting a fight, and that is not generally what you want.
No, you know you're having a very rough game when you're initiating as the Azir and building Abyssal Scepter even furthermore as the Azir.